Shellady joining us, Rebecca Walser joining us. Rebecca, he's not leaving the company, but he is changing the direction a little bit. He wants to focus on his space enterprises and some of the other issues. But that always worries investors. I think it's one of the things tamping down on what would otherwise be a far stronger reaction to the blowout quarterly numbers we got after the bell yesterday. What do you think?
Yeah, and I totally agree, Neil. You know, it's kind of like the Bill Gates model at Microsoft that he's following. And I read his letter, and I just want to quickly point out, in his letter, he talked about how much they've pioneered, and he explicitly listed consumer reviews, one-click personalized services, fast shipping, Alexa, Kindle. He's saying in this letter that he's credited with infrastructure, cloud computing, the just walk out, don't even pay, just go and get what you want, and it knows who you are and you're leaving. I mean, the innovation that he has amassed and come up with. I think that's why you're not seeing the market super excited about him not being necessarily at the day-to-day helm. And, he lists that it's interesting. That's why I say it's the Bill Gates model, because he says as Amazon has grown in size and scope, we're going to leverage our position for social issues. And he specifically listed day one, the Bezos Earth Fund, Blue Origin, and obviously the Washington Post. So, he's very much an innovator, very much a pioneer. Everyone else told him, no, even you, Neil, back in the day, right? And look what he's accomplished. Sure. So I think that the market should celebrate that we had such a person at the helm, and let's see where he goes with this. I hope he uses his genius for beyond just social issues, because we certainly can use him as an entrepreneur in this country.
When you look back, Scott, at the time, early on when I was talking to him in the beginning of the internet boom in the late 1990s, and then close to right after the bust, there were a lot of people who said Amazon would be among its victims because it, too, hadn't been making money. It, too, was priced to promise rather than profit. But he survived that, as did the eBays and some other big names at the time, sensing that what he was building was very, very different. He had a strategy that few saw or could appreciate until years after the fact, to leverage off a brand. If you can buy books this way, you can buy pretty much anything that way. And, of course, the rest is history. But I'm just wondering what that brand looks like now. Where does it go now?
Well, I mean, taking his words, he said in that interview I was listening about it's a big market and there's going to be a lot of room for winners. Well, it's a big market, but he's really obviously the biggest winner. And, to his credit, he saw such a seismic shift in where the economy was going to be going. And a good example of that, when I was just listening to you interview him in the 90s, I've moved to London twice, once in the early 90s and lastly in 2015. In the early 90s, I had to buy a car to furnish my flat. But in 2015, when I moved back, I could furnish the whole thing on Amazon delivered to my door. That's the difference about the way we lived. And then so now this new gentleman coming in behind him, yes, I mean, you might lose a little of the flair, and we've seen that happen with other bigger companies. But, hey, this guy was considered to be maybe to take over after Microsoft after Ballmer was going to be leaving, and take over Uber after Kalanick was leaving. So he's, and Amazon Web Services, I'm a big, big fan of. So I think they're going to be in still good hands. I'm not really going to be able to say what the stock predictors are saying, but I think the company is fantastic and will continue to go from strength to strength and innovate. And it kind of, doesn't it remind you a little bit like Elon Musk? I think that there's a lot of parallels there.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a common thread. Rebecca, your quick thoughts on this. I know we're going over a little bit here, but your quick thoughts, and you are coming back, but on the message that ties a lot of these people together. One of the funnest things about my job is I get to talk to people like this. I had the opportunity to Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and a host of others. The common link is it's not their way or the highway. It's their way to a new highway. It goes against the grain. It goes against experts who, questioned, even in Jobs' case, we have Sony Walkmans. What do we need with this stupid iPod thing? He got that and went way beyond what people would appreciate, as did Bezos, as did Bill Gates, in democratizing PCs that were not just for business guys. So I am wondering now what signal this sends going forward to the technology companies that make it versus those that maybe have a tougher time.
Well, it's a good point, and I think that you're both right, Scott, as well, with the comparisons to other innovators that have gone before, Steve Jobs, obviously Elon as well. It just makes me fall in love with the entrepreneur. I just love the entrepreneurial spirit and the person that not only takes the road less traveled, but as you said, Neil, actually builds a brand new road and says, my road's better, and everyone jumps to their road. This is just, you just get, these people are so rare, and you just have to stop and really respect it. And he's young, 57, so hopefully he's still, I know he's got his social issues he wants to work on, but I hope that his innovative spirit is still alive and well in Amazon. And that's what will carry it through, as long as we still see the innovation, because they have to think about it, an online e-commerce and the innovation that would come out of that, no one would ever have guessed. It's amazing.
All right. Don't go away, guys. We're going to get you back here. Of course, I look at, very successful people in different ways than others. And one of the things that stand out for me about Jeff Bezos is that laugh, that inimitable laugh.